So you're thinking about doing some work on your house in South Africa, right? Before you even think about picking up a hammer, there's this huge question. Do you actually need building plans? It can feel like a total maze of regulations, but trust me, the law is actually pretty clear once you know what you're looking for. In this explainer, we are going to break down the official rules straight from SANS 10400A, so you know exactly when you need to get that stamp of approval. Let's dive in. Just think about that project you've been dreaming of. Maybe it's a carport to finally get the car out of the sun, or a brand new braai room for those weekend get-togethers. Or maybe it's something that sounds simple, like moving an inside wall to open up the kitchen. It seems easy enough, right? But the second you start, you've stepped into the world of building regulations. So, the million-dollar question is, where does the law actually draw the line? To get to the bottom of this, we're going to break it down into 4 simple parts. First up, what is the one single rule you absolutely positively have to know? Second, what does the law really mean when it says building? Because this is where it gets interesting. Third, are there any loopholes or exceptions for small jobs? And finally, what's the difference between a simple repair and a full-blown alteration that needs plans? Stick with me, and you'll have it all figured out. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Golden Rule. Seriously, if you remember nothing else, remember this. It's the absolute foundation of all building law in South Africa. And there it is, straight from the horse's mouth, the National Building Regulations. The 2 phrases that matter most here are prior approval and in writing. And let me tell you, that's not a suggestion, that's the law. It means before any work even begins, you have to have a physical, stamped, approved document from your municipality. There is 0 gray area on this. So the biggest takeaway is this. The law's default answer is always yes. Your starting point for any project should automatically be, okay, I'm gonna need plans. This isn't just about red tape. It's about making sure whatever you build is safe, that it meets the national standards, and that you're not accidentally tanking your property's value. So we always start with yes, and only then do we start looking for the rare exceptions. Okay, moving on to Section 2, that golden rule used the word erect. And this is the word that trips up so many people, because in legal terms, erection means a whole lot more than just building a new house from scratch. Have a look at this definition. It comes directly from the Act, and wow, is it broad. You've got to pay attention to those words alteration, extension, and this is the big one, repair of any part of the structural system. Just that one phrase expands the golden rule to cover pretty much any major work you could possibly do on your property. So let's bring this down to earth. That braai room you're dreaming of, legally, that's an extension. That wall you want to knock down between the kitchen and the living room, that's an alteration. Even something like fixing a major crack in your foundation is a repair of the structural system. And you know what? They all fall under that big umbrella term, erection, which means they all need that prior approval we talked about. And to really get it, you need to know what a structural system is. The simplest way to think about it is that it's the skeleton of your house. It's the foundations, the beams, the columns, all the walls holding the roof up, basically everything that stops it from falling down. And the law is crystal clear. If your project touches any part of that skeleton, it's not a small job. It's an erection. And you need plans. Period. Okay, so we've laid down the law, and it sounds pretty strict, right? Well, now, for the part you've probably been waiting for, let's talk about the exceptions. Section 3 is all about minor building work, and this is where you might get a bit of a break. Now listen up, because this is a super important point. The law does identify some small projects as minor building work, and for these, you might be exempt from drawing up and submitting a full, complicated set of plans. But, and this is a huge but, it does not mean you can just start building. You still have to apply for and get written authorization from your municipality. Think of it like a shortcut, not a free pass. So what kind of stuff are we talking about here? Well, the regulations are pretty specific. You're looking at things like an open-sided carport, as long as it's under 40 square meters, or a freestanding wall, provided it's under 1.8 meters high. It also covers private swimming pools, a little tool shed under 10 square meters, and even just replacing your roof covering with a similar material. If your project fits neatly into one of these boxes, you could qualify for that easier process. All right, last section. And this one tackles a really common gray area that confuses a lot of people. Where exactly is the line between just doing some regular maintenance and doing work that actually needs the city's approval? This table makes it super clear. On one hand, you've got stuff that needs no approval at all. We're talking about repairs from ordinary wear and tear. Repainting the walls, fixing a leaky faucet, replacing a cracked window pane. that's just normal maintenance. But the second that repair touches the structural system, like replacing a big roof beam that's gone rotten or fixing the foundations, you've crossed the line. The rule of thumb is simple. If it's cosmetic and routine, you're probably okay. If it's structural, you need to call the municipality.
So let's wrap this all up into a super simple 3-step check you can use for any project. Step 1, start with the golden rule. Always, always assume you need plants. Step 2, be honest about your work. Is it an alteration, an extension, a structural repair? If it's any of those, it's an erection. And finally, step 3, if it is an erection, check to see if it lands on that very specific list of minor building work. That could be your shortcut.
So now you can look at that project you have in mind with a whole new set of eyes. Is it just simple maintenance? Could it qualify as a minor work? Or is it a full-blown erection that's going to need a proper set of plans? Getting this right from the start is absolutely the key to a project that's smooth, legal, and successful. And you know what the best part is? You don't have to guess. If you are ever unsure, a quick call to your local building control officer is always the smartest first step you can take.